I thought I'd do a discussion or voice my thoughts at least on the latest output from Sony. So you've got the Sony A7 Mark III. Let's cut to some of the more important things if you're trying to use it for cine purposes more professionally. Well, certainly very impressed with a lot of the samples of what some people have shot in 24 or 30 progressive mode, and so far the Super 35 facets on the menu system certainly produce some very impressive results. Yes, so it's got 14 stops of dynamic range, or a bit less than that. It sort of sits somewhere above some of the more intermediate, say, Blackmagic systems than, say, Arri or Red, who generally operate at 14 or 15 stops of dynamic range. But generally copes with Hyperlog Gamma and S-Log. Yes, good old familiar S-Log. So you've got compatibility at least with say the C200 or the C100 Mark II, which I've handled earlier on actually, but you'd certainly be fine using it in those circumstances anyway. Yes, so I found it quite interesting to do, to certainly have a good look at the variety of output from other sort of product review, sometimes being more technically critical of product presentation, but that's only because I sometimes think you can sell things more better than just showing us close-ups of buttons, rather than actually showing you sometimes more, as I found with one or two of the longer, say 20-minute reviews, that you actually see a fair variety in output at different settings, which personally I find more advantageous, because you get an idea of what what different lighting editions sort of tonally feel like, or rather look like as well. So yeah, and I sort of voiced my own thoughts to Park Cameras, and I'm very grateful for their positive uptake in my points. So that's been very advantageous, and yeah, their review is actually very useful, and certainly on the more photography side of it, because it does do a very good dual card slot, and uncompressed 14-bit RAW. Something that if you're wanting to use RAW for RAW files in Lightroom, for example, it's very advantageous in that capacity. So in that sense of things, I'm very interested in that. So yeah, but as a good overview in relatively good time, Parks did a very nice job, and thank you for that. Based on all the reviews, and I said, this sort of mix of those wanting to use them photography wise or videography or even practical short film application or documentaries, it's got a bit further to go. I think S-Log with the dynamic range it's got is certainly good for documentary usage, and certainly short form shorts, or even possibly TV. I don't know. Might be interesting in 45-minute block kind of approach, but that's maybe something the market might prove in a month or so, or maybe in a year, depending on what people think of it. When, I don't know, maybe the Mark IV or the Mark V version turns up, with probably greater megapixels and probably even more dynamic range, or a sort of, or AHDR, sort of additional high dynamic range. I don't know. John Lewis actually seemed to be doing quite well on the UHD 4K output for television, in terms of, yes, there's certainly a demand for large scale television to cope with UHD at the present time. So that seems to be changing, but in a good sense. I'm just not completely convinced about the sort of output via type, really. I know some people seem to be writing a lot of horror or dramas, particularly, or even comedy, which seems to still go in and out of fashion quite a bit. I'd just be more interested in sort of the practical application in realisation. You spend 3 or 4 weeks actually shooting every page most of the time. But certainly been inspiring him to look at behind the clapperboard and remembering how good some of the pictures still are from yesteryear, shot by some of the best in this country and more further afield by some very technically accomplished directors of photography who very much deserve their reputations and the results they inputted. Yeah, so if anybody kind of wants to do any S-Log output, be it on a Sony a7 III or even a FS5 Mark II, do let us know. Thanks for now though.